Welcome to the Sypno Tech Show. How are you doing, guys? I'm Alex. I'm going to be your host today, and we're going to be talking about IFA 2016. As always, with these special event Sypno Tech Shows, I try to carry this episode myself. We'll do a roundtable again very soon, so do not fright. We will be back. We're actually planning awesome roundtables for the Nexus or Pixel phone. We're going to talk about that story. But we're going to try to get a good, nice little panel out there with Lita and myself to talk about all the new stuff with the new Google phones and also the iPhone or Mac releases in the next month. So stay tuned for that. But let's jump into IFA 2016. We've got some crazy stuff. Awesome new hardware. Crazy stories coming out from some of these OEMs. So let's just jump right into it right now. The first thing we're going to talk about is HTC. So right when IFA started, the first news that really came out on any platform was about HTC One A9s successor, which is the HTC One A9s. So for those of you who don't know, the HTC One A9 was a nice little mid-range phone that I personally liked. It was very heavily divided between people who really loved it and people who hated it. I was one of those people who actually liked the design. The performance was actually acceptable. It was not too bad. A lot of people hated it, however, because it is basically a carbon copy of the iPhone 6. It looks exactly like the iPhone 6. And the price point was pretty high for something that was like that, with a Snapdragon 617 inside. But HTC has announced the One A9 will have a successor, and it's going to be called the very original name of the HTC One A9s. Yes, that's not going to help your iPhone copycat claims by adding an S behind the HTC One A9. It doesn't make sense. They could have named it anything, but they did that. They are really, they're trolling people right now. They're just like, oh, you think we're iPhone copycats? We're gonna step it up one more level and put an S behind it. But unlike Apple, where they add an S for an upgrade, we're actually kind of looking at a downgrade here. So last year's HTC One A9 was a full HD display, which I thought the display was pretty good. It looked pretty nice. But the A9s will have a 720p display with the same screen size. So we're going to have less PPI. It's going to be less sharp. Only good side about this is I think the price point will drop. We don't know yet. They haven't announced any pricing on it, but we shall see. But to follow it up, we're also losing a Snapdragon processor. It's no longer the 617 or an upgrade of that. They are putting in a MediaTek octa-core Helio P10 chipset. And they are also lowering the f-stop on the 13-megapixel rear camera from a 2.0 to 2.2 aperture. Two models will be available, 16 gigabyte of internal storage with 2 gigabytes of RAM model, and also a 32 gigabyte memory and 3 gigabytes of RAM model. So the HTC One A9s will be available in October. Not the most attractive looking phone on the market, but it really depends on the price point. If this phone was only like $250, you know what? That might not be too bad. I think the P10... People hate MediaTek as well. I don't know why. Oh, I do know why. They had a very bad stigma in the 2000s. But, the P10 processor is actually not too bad. I've used a couple phones with a P10 on it. And I just think anything with a 10 or a P10, X10, X20, they're all usable. They're not really, really bad phones. So, yeah, we'll keep an eye on this. We'll see the price point. If it's cheaper, I might buy it because I really did like the design of the HTC One A9. Next story, we are going to move on to another kind of controversial phone release announcement, which is Sony. Okay, so Sony, earlier in the year, I just don't know what they're doing. Earlier in the year, they released a couple of phones, right? They released they changed the Z, so the Z line, they kind of axed it, and they released the X. So we got the X, the XP, and the XA. So 3 different phones with varying specs. It kind of they replaced the Z line, which a lot of people liked, including me. I was a big hardcore Sony fan. But, shockingly, in IFA, they are showing off 2 new phones here. We have the XZ and the XZ... Okay, no. We have the XZ and the X Compact. See, that doesn't make sense. Why is it called the XZ and not the XZ Compact? Why is it just the X Compact? why is that the XZ? The naming scheme is just so convoluted. If you're gonna get rid of the Z, just get rid of the Z. Don't add the Z back in. You know, if you're gonna start with an X line, you keep with the X line. So it doesn't make sense that they have an Xperia XZ and an Xperia X Compact. But they announced them, and we are looking at two very, very mundane, spec'd out phones. So let's look at this. The XZ, the Xperia XZ, is I guess the flagship of the two. It's a Snapdragon 820, which is the most current processor, which is good. That's a good thing. Then we are also looking at 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, and a 1080p resolution. And it has a 2900 milliamp battery. So, you know, that's a weird amount of flagshipness and midshipness. Like 3 gigabytes of RAM. Why didn't they just put 4 gigabytes of RAM in there? I'm kind of surprised. Yeah, I'm kind of confused about that. Like, the Snapdragon 820 is great, but it doesn't have the 4K screen of the Z5 Premium that was out last year. Yeah, I'm just kind of dumbfounded. Like, they put the 820, and they're gonna probably price this in the upper tier range in the price point because Sony charges a lot of money for their phones. Like, it's premium pricing, and they're not offering premium specs for that price, which I'm a little disappointed there. But the phone does look very typical Sony. It has the fingerprint scanner on the side. This is the more premium build compared to the X Compact, which is a step down. And this year, I am very disappointed with the announcement of the X Compact. I wasn't even expecting the X Compact, to be honest. I thought they would just axe the line. But we are looking at the same size, 4.6 inch from the previous compacts. But we are no longer getting that flagship processor that we buy the compact phones for. The Z3 Compact, Z5 Compact both provided the most high-end Snapdragon processor at the time. We are not getting that with the X Compact. We are only getting a Snapdragon 650, same 720p screen. We were begging Sony last year for a 1080p screen. They gave us a 720. I was still okay with that. We are not okay with that in 2016. Please, please, please. I know it's a 4.6-inch screen, but just put the 1080p. The 1080p displays are so cheap nowadays. You could get one not too expensive. I mean, the compact phones are pretty expensive in the first place. I mean, I'm sure you could have done that. You would have had extra gravy with the Sony fans, which are quickly dwindling. And both phones will come with Android Marshmallow, so they're not releasing with Nougat yet. I think the first one to release with Nougat will be the V10 successor, which is the V20, I believe, the LG V20. So yeah, spec-wise, I am not too excited with any of these phones from Sony this year. I'm very confused with what they're doing with the X series and now the XZ. Like, is that part of the X series or like a subsidy of it or a new line? It's just really confusing. But they are saying that the camera is going to be very, very good. They say that every year until I get one that works really well. I don't know, because Sony is a double-edged sword for me. The camera experience is very bad for me most of the time. Image quality sometimes is good. Software on it, though, is very bad. Like, I've experienced really bad stuff with Sony cameras in the Z3 and Z5. So we shall see. Well, okay, not very bad. It's usable. It's usable, but it's nowhere near what they claim. So very disappointed. And I also do want to note that the big bezels are still there on the Z5. I keep saying that. The X Compact. The X Compact will still have the same type of bezels, and it is a plastic build with no IP water resistance certification on this phone, where the previous ones did. So yeah, Sony and HTC, I kind of scratched my head with what they were talking about with these phones, because these are beloved brands, and kind of dropping the ball there. Next one, we have a couple stories left. The ZTE Axon Mini 7 is officially announced. I think this was rumored for a long time now, and a lot of us have checked out the Axon 7. We actually have a review of that. Lita is working on her review. It's going to be out on our channel very soon, but we love well, spoiler alert, we actually really like the phone. The Axon 7 is great value. The Axon 7 Mini is officially announced with a 5.2-inch display. That's considered mini in 2016. That's yeah, 5.2 inches is mini apparently, and it has a Snapdragon 617 and a 16 megapixel camera, and we are also looking at a 1080p resolution screen, so that's good to have. 424 pixels per inch. Adreno 405, 3 gigabytes of RAM, 32 gigabytes of storage, and yes, we do have micro SD card storage. And it will be a dual SIM phone, so that's also the same features it has on the ZTE Axon. So other than the processor being dumbed down and the GPU being dumbed down, we are looking at a phone that is not too bad. It basically cut the specs in half of what you got on the Axon 7. So it, in essence, is a mid-range phone, and that's pretty disappointing as well. I just want a phone that is smaller than 5.5 inches. 5.1 and 2 would be the perfect size. It will fit my hand. I don't have to reach up and shift my hand to touch the top. I just want one of those phones with high-end specs, and Sony isn't going to give me that anymore, apparently, with the X Compact. And ZTE, unfortunately, isn't giving us that either. But we can give ZTE a slight pass because of what the Axon 7 has given us for that price point. So I'm okay with this, apparently. It would be nice if one of these smartphone makers would finally give us a smaller phone with great specs, great build quality, and just a good performance. The Sony phones used to do that, but unfortunately we've moved on from that, and they apparently have too. Alright, now we have Acer. Alright, we're moving on to kind of like computers now. And the Acer line of computers have been really interesting. They just, we just had the R13, which is a Chromebook that looks awesome. We're not going to talk about this in this episode, but I'm a huge Chromebook fan, and the R13 looks like the ultimate Android app prepared Chromebook, and that will be... We'll talk about that in another episode, but I wanted to talk about the Acer Swift 7 laptop. It's a Windows laptop that is making waves online because it is apparently, and it is logistically, the lightest, smallest, no, not smallest, it is the thinnest, that's the correct word, that's the politically correct word, it's the thinnest laptop on the market. So it beats the MacBook, and it also apparently beats the HP Spectre, which I believe held the title of the thinnest laptop. The HP Spectre was 10.4 millimeters thin, and this is 9.98 millimeters thin. So it actually is much. It actually is significantly thinner than the Spectre. 0.5 is actually a lot nowadays in tech terms. But yeah, we get this interesting Swift 7. It comes with a 7th generation Intel i5 processor. That's good. i5 is pretty good. Coupled with 8 gigabytes of RAM, 256 gigabytes of storage. And they say you get 9 hours of battery off of this, which I highly doubt. All these OEMs always mark it up. It's not going to be that high. But it's around that age, so maybe you'll probably get like 7 to 8. Yeah, I think you can only get... Is that only one configuration? I believe you can only get one configuration. But it is an aluminum body with 13.3 inch screen. Is it a 1080p screen? I don't know. I haven't read anything about the screen quality. But yeah, if it's only a 1080p screen, then it might not be worth the price. It does have 2 USB-C ports, and it is really thin, so I hope Apple takes note of this and adds a second USB-C port like everybody's hoping for. But you see other OEMs, other laptop makers actually incorporating multiple USB-C ports in thinner devices, so that's good. That's a good thing to see. It will be launching for $999 in October. Most of these things are launching in October, so October is going to be a huge month. I'm very excited to get my hands on some of these. So, aluminum body has a fingerprint scanner, backlit keyboard. Oh, the backlit keyboard is optional. That should never be optional. That should always be a feature on here. But yeah, it looks like the Swift 7 will be a very interesting device for $999. i5 processor. The thinness of it, if you like Windows, then it's not too bad of an option. At least I don't think so. And then we have 2 more stories. I'm going to save my personal favorite of IFA for last. But we're talking about something that isn't even IFA related. It is about Google and the Nexus release. So we officially have a October 4th press release day. I guess you can also order the phone like last year. That's usually saved for the Nexus releases. But we have a major shocking story. Apparently, multiple sources are saying that Google is no longer going to be keeping the Nexus line. They are instead rebranding this year's phones into the Pixel and the Pixel XL. So this isn't too shocking for those of us who follow rumor mill. A lot of us have been hypothesizing that there will be potentially a Pixel phone because Google makes Pixel devices by Google. The hardware is completely made by Google. The Pixel C, the Pixel, and the Pixel 2, Chromebook Pixels. Awesome devices. I love them very much. But we've never had a Google-made phone without another OEM helping them make it. The Nexuses were always developed by another company alongside Google who kind of worked together to do it. We are officially kind of moving that into the Pixel line. So apparently there will not be branding on it. The Pixel will apparently be a 5-inch device that we've seen the code name called Sailfish. And then the Marlin will be the 5.5-inch device, which is which they will call the Pixel XL. So this is a gigantic story, and there are also reports saying that software will be kind of different from what we've been accustomed to with stock Android. There will be additional features. This is just groundbreaking news, and yeah, I mean, this is awesome, man. I mean, I've been waiting for a Pixel phone for the longest time, but it is curious to know because the rumors have it that HTC was making this year's phones, so it doesn't really follow the Pixel scheme of things, where the Pixel was actually made by Google. Everything is conjoined and built by Google themselves. If HTC is still making it, it kind of is still a Nexus. You're just rebranding over the Pixel line. So very peculiar here, but you know what? A Pixel phone will be awesome. I am very excited to check it out. Hope they have the light bar in the back. That is the best thing. Where you check the battery life by double tapping on the back of the phone. That would be the coolest thing in the world. We'll see. We'll see October 4th. I'm sure more information will leak as time goes by, and on the Sypno Tech Show, we will talk about this. We were very excited for it. And the last story of the day is the thing I am actually most excited about when it comes to this year's IFA 2016, and that is from Lenovo. Wow, I can't believe I said that. I am not a huge fan of Lenovo, but the Yoga Book, the Lenovo Yoga Book, if you haven't seen this yet, I am very, very happy to break this to you. But they announced this thing called the Lenovo Yoga Book. They've always been known to do these reversible, flippable tablets or laptops. And this is supposedly a 2-in-1 tablet, and it runs either Android or Windows, and there will be $100 difference with the Android one being cheaper. And this is just absolutely amazing technology. They have something called the Halo keyboard. So it's attached. You can't detach it. It has that hinge that the Yoga Books have used the last couple years. And what this thing is the top end. It's kind of, think of this like a 3DS, like Nintendo's 3DS, except on a much bigger scale. The top is a screen. I think it's a 1080p screen. See, this is how excited I was about it. I don't even know the specs of this thing, to be honest. I kind of vaguely remember it, but it's not sticking on my mind. What I'm so excited about it is about the concept, which it's amazing. It's amazing. The concept is what I'm excited about, and I haven't been excited about a concept in a long, long time. We've been seeing the same designs over and over, and so we only get excited about the specs. But seeing a concept and having me so excited where I don't care about the specs is unbelievable. It's been a long time. But basically, the concept is the top is the screen, and the bottom is the keyboard. So it's a digital keyboard. It's not a. It doesn't have any tactile feel. It doesn't have any. It's not a real keyboard. It's like typing on an iPad or typing on a tablet, except it has a dedicated screen on the bottom that does that, and that is awesome. And the dual part of this is that you can remove that. So you can turn on a mode where the keyboard disappears. And since it's not an actual physical keyboard, it's a digital one that can wipe away, so it's a blank slate. And you have a pen that is included. It's not like the Microsoft Surfaces where you have to actually buy additional attachment. The pen is a Wacom pen. I believe it's a Wacom pen, or it has Wacom capabilities. And you can actually draw on the pad, and it recognizes the strokes onto your tablet screen. And what's even cooler than that is you can actually get a notebook of paper, put it on that little bottom part, and write on the bottom part with your pen, and it actually recognizes that onto your tablet screen. That is awesome. So if you're a student, or if you have a lot of meetings in your job and you like handwriting notes, because I know people who still like handwriting notes, this is absolutely amazing. This is absolutely amazing. I am just absolutely like in love with this right now. I'm on the I'm on the Lenovo. There's so many brands in IFA this year that it's just jumbo. Like, oh, my brain is just blowing up right now. But I am on the Lenovo side, and it does have an Intel Atom processor inside. It does have that sticker. And, of course, we'll be talking about the specs more on the channel when this comes closer to release time. I am actually really excited about this. It says it has up to 12 hours of battery life, and it's 1.5 pounds thin. It weighs 1.5 pounds. And it's 4.55 millimeters thin when opened. So this thing is pretty light, The hinge thing goes 360. Yeah. Oh, okay, there we go. It's 10.1 inches, and it's full 1080p. So we don't have Quad HD on here, but I'm actually okay with that. On a 10.1 inch screen, full HD, and Dolby Atmos speakers, which I have mixed reactions to. Isn't that the greatest thing I've used? I've used Dolby Atmos things a couple times. But definitely, the concept here is so exciting, and like I said, it's been a while since there has been a concept that has excited me more than the specs have excited me. So, very excited for this device, and I will definitely keep talking about this and order this once it comes out. So, very excited to test this out. Once again, my name is Alex from Sypno Tech. Thank you guys so much for watching this special edition of the Sypno Tech Show. So excited. I mean, what are you most excited about? IFA 2016 has had so many crazy twists and turns and awesome announcements, and this isn't even all of it. I just talked about the things that I found most interesting in IFA 2016 that excited me the most. So let me know what excited you, and let me know what you think about the Pixel phones. We're going to be talking about this stuff a lot the next couple of months. And be sure to subscribe, like the video, comment, follow us on Twitter, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye. The people who want to buy a 617